Everybody loves to talk about the hunts where everything goes right. The big buck, the perfect shot, the picture you send to your buddies when you get back to the truck. Those are the stories that get told. But the hunts nobody really talks about are the ones where nothing happens. The hunts when you spend an entire day in the woods and you don't see a single thing. No deer, no movement, nothing. Honestly, I don't even like talking about those hunts. And I definitely don't feel like posting those videos of them online. But over the years, I have learned something about those days. Just because you're not seeing anything doesn't mean you're not learning. And that's exactly what today's episode is about. Because if you spend enough time in the woods or on the water, you eventually realize something most people don't talk about. Success out there isn't just about field tags. Sometimes the biggest lessons come from the hunts where nothing goes right. This is Unlucky Hunters Matter. Real hunts, real mistakes, and the lessons learned when things don't go as planned. And today we're talking about something every hunter and fisherman experiences at some point. The hunts nobody talks about. How close failure can actually be to success. And why consistency matters more than anything else if you want to get better in the outdoors. Now the truth is, a lot of hunters and fishermen don't like talking about the days where nothing happens. Nobody wants to be that person who sat in the woods all day and didn't see a thing. And social media definitely doesn't help with that. Because when you scroll through your phone during hunt season, it looks like everyone out there is killing a giant bucks or catching monster fish every weekend. But that's not reality. That's the highlight reel. People post their success. They post the big animals. What they don't post are the long days where nothing happens. And along those same lines, a lot of hunters don't like talking about the animals they miss or the hunts that they completely messed up. Because it feels like admitting you're not perfect. Like it might hurt your reputation. But the truth is, who cares? I've missed plenty of deer, and I've blown more hunts than I can count. I've bumped deer I didn't even know were there until they were crashing out of the woods. I screwed up elk hunts. And when it comes to fishing, I couldn't even begin to count how many rocks and logs I've hooked over the years. That's just part of it. Nobody gets it right every time. Before we keep going with this episode, I want to take a moment to thank the companies helping support the show. First up is W Energy. If you spend early mornings in the woods, long days scouting, or late nights editing and planning hunts like I do, you know how important it is to stay focused and energized. W is a clean energy drink mix designed to give you a steady energy focus without the crash. If you want to try it out, use code UnluckyHuntersMatter at checkout and you'll get 10% off your order. Using that code also helps support the podcast and everything we are building here. And another company I want to thank is Quick Camo. If you hunt pressured public land or chase animals that have seen their fair share of hunters, you already know how important it is concealment can be. Quick Camo makes lightweight camouflage gear designed to help you disappear into your surroundings when it matters most. So if you're looking to upgrade your hunting setup this season, make sure you check them out as well, and use the code UnluckyHuntersMatter at checkout as well. All right, let's get back into the episode. How close failure is to success. One thing I've learned over the years is just how close failure often is to success. Sometimes they're separated by just one moment. I had a hunt last season that reminded me of that. I was out gun hunting and it was absolutely pouring rain. Now personally, I love hunting in the rain. Your scent is almost non-existent, the woods are quiet, and when you're moving through wet leaves and soft ground, you're almost ninja quiet. There I was, hunting in the rain, when suddenly I saw a deer running through the timber. I started moving after it, trying to close the distance. Eventually, I got to the spot where I last saw it, and the deer was still there. But now the rain was coming down harder and the fog was rolling in. I could barely see through the woods. Through the scope, I could just make out the deer moving. And honestly, I figured it was only a matter of time before she disappeared. But instead of running off, she started circling around me, trying to head back to the way she came. and that ended up being her fatal mistake. She stepped into a small opening where I felt comfortable taking the shot, so I took it. She ran about 40 yards and piled up. And just like that, what looked like it was about to be a failed hunt turned into success. Moments like that remind you that sometimes the best thing you can do is stay patient and let things unfold. The danger of measuring seasons by tags. Another mistake a lot of hunters make is measuring an entire season only by the tags they feel. If the only thing that defines success for you is the tag in your pocket, you're putting a lot of unnecessary pressure on yourself, and sometimes on the people you hunt with. When that pressure starts to build, it changes the way you hunt. You start forcing opportunities, you rush decisions, you second guess yourself. And that's when mistakes start happening. But when you slow down and really take in the full experience of being outside, you start noticing the little moments that make being out there worth it. The birds waking up in the morning, squirrels chasing each other through the trees, owls calling somewhere off in the distance, and the Canada geese flying overhead as the seasons change. Those moments are part of the experience too. And sometimes those are the memories that stick with you the longest. Because the truth is, the outdoor gives us a lot more than just field tags. Over the years, I've had moments in the woods that had nothing to do with pulling the trigger, and they've stuck with me just as much as any successful hunt. One of those moments happened when I was about 14 or 15 years old. Our group was mule deer hunting in eastern Oregon during a controlled rifle season. It was getting towards evening and we were hunting a new unit. I had worked my way up onto this ridge line just below a big plateau, and I finally got settled in facing down towards the bottom of a drainage. After sitting for a while, I heard something behind my left shoulder. It sounded like something moving through the draw, so I slowly turned around to look. And what I saw stopped me cold. A massive bull elk was side-hilling across the draws, coming straight towards me. He kept moving closer until he was about 20 yards in front of me where I was sitting. Then he stopped. He just stood there staring at me for a few seconds, panting like a dog with his tongue hanging out. Then he turned and took off back the way he came. As he loped back up toward that plateau, the tips of his antlers were almost even with his back hind quarters, and I just sat there watching him disappear into the timber. I didn't feel attacked that day, but I still remember that moment like it happened yesterday, and that's when you realize something important. If you're out there stressing about the tag in your pocket the whole time, you run the risk of missing moments like that. Moments that remind you why you fell in love with the outdoors in the first place, because seasons come and go fast. Before you know it, the last day rolls around, and suddenly you're sitting there waiting months for the next one to open up again. But if you slow down and really take in each time you're out there, you start to realize something. Success in the outdoors isn't only measured by the tags you feel. It's measured by the time spent out there, the lessons learned, and the memories that stay with you long after the season's end. What consistency actually looks like. People like to talk about consistency, but most people pictured it wrong. Consistency isn't motivation. Consistency looks like showing up even when conditions aren't perfect. Rain, cold, wind, slow days. If the season is open and you're legal, you're out there as often as you can be. You're in the woods chasing deer. You're on the water tying knots and drowning worms. You're in the swamp calling ducks whether they're flying or not. Consistency means waking up long before the sun even thinks about coming up, just so you can be there when the woods wake up. It means staying until the last bit of light fades away. It means long nights after a successful hunt and early mornings the next day to do it all over again. Consistency is refusing to quit the grind. It's putting boots on the ground scouting, checking trail cameras, studying maps, driving miles to find new places to hunt. Consistency is showing up when everyone else decides to stay home. And more often than not, the people who keep showing up like that are the ones who eventually get it done. And before I wrap this episode up, I want to let everyone know that Unlucky Hunters Matter website is now live. If you want to learn more about the podcast, stay updated on new episodes, or check out some of the things we're building around the show, head over and take a look. We're going to keep adding to it as the community grows. And I wanted to say this to anyone listening right now. If you've had a hunt that didn't go as planned, if you've blown opportunities, if you've had seasons that tested you, then this podcast is for you. Because the outdoors isn't about perfect hunts, it's about real ones. If you got a story like that, reach out, send a message. Because the stories that matter most are often the ones nobody else is telling. When I look back on seasons in the woods or on the water, the things I remember most aren't always the animals. It's the miles walked, the quiet mornings, the lessons learned the hard ways. The hunts where nothing happened but somehow meant everything. Because the truth is, hunting and fishing were never meant to be easy. If they were, they wouldn't mean as much. This is Unlucky Hunters Matter. Real hunts, real mistakes, real lessons. Because not all hunts go as planned.